Hello, everybody, and welcome to WCCF Tech Reviews Talks Discord chat podcast. That's the one. And just
Where are
the
you,
three of
Chris?
us today. I don't know where I am. I never know where I am. I'm not drunk enough yet. With just the three of us today because Kai is going house hunting, and he's been dragged out of this house, kicking and screaming. Also, crying, we don't talk about that much. And just got a few simple topics. Oh, go on, Alessio.
I think maybe he just doesn't like us very much, but he's too shy.
Screaming, crying. I saw the tears. So we've got three simple topics today. It's recent news. We've got state of play, Sony, and the fact that they didn't really announce anything. EA, they've decided to steal all your money if you spent any money on Anthem. And they've also told us that the studios are in charge, which I'm going to explain why that's bullshit later. And then we're just going to talk about how Google have just Googled. They've Googled. But we'll start with State of Play, Sony, and Alessio, you can introduce us on that.
Yeah, Sony basically dropped a bunch of news. Actually, this week, first of all, they told us they were continuing their program to bring exclusives to PC. The first one was Horizon Zero Dawn, and now there's also... Well, Death Stranding, yes, but it's not. It wasn't technically made by
not
a first-party studio, since Kojima Production isn't owned by Sony. So it's. But
how long?
Also, yeah. So they're also bringing Days Gone now this spring, and we also got a Steam page with the requirements as well. So it's coming soon, and. Well, at least GQ, which broke the article with an interview they had with Jim Ryan from Sony, they said it's just the first of a whole slate of PlayStation games coming to PC. So that's promising for PC
I don't
gamers.
know if I'm a bit irritated that Days Gone's coming to PC because I've started playing it on the PS5. Like, why do this to me?
How is it? I've considered picking it up. I just,
It's free if you've got the PS5. You have a PS5?
Go away, Chris. Go away. I don't like you.
You do. You love me.
Anyway, so that's one thing, and it is interesting because Horizon, when they brought it to PC, was 3 years old, but Days Gone is now 2 years old almost. So basically, it seems like they might be reducing the delay time between PlayStation and PC releases, hopefully. Yeah. So, maybe in the future we could have maybe not day one releases at the same time, but
1 year.
At least near, yeah. And
6 months to a year exclusivity seems to be the trend for the console exclusive.
It's just, I think Sony is realizing there's just too much money on the PC platform that they would be leaving on the table if they don't port games to PC.
I think they've realized now that Microsoft have made the right move by releasing games on both the console and the PC, which I suppose is one advantage. I've got a good PC because I'm not going to lose out on the Bethesda games when Microsoft decide that only Xbox can have them. You know it's
that. Other than that, there's also the news of Gran Turismo 7's delay to next year, although that was pretty much, likely.
It's Gran Turismo. We're probably going to see a 2025 release.
Yeah.
I love the series. It's probably it's the racing series that I grew up with, and I've played every single Gran Turismo religiously, but I know lately, the past 3 releases you can say have been delayed multiple years each and every time.
Yeah, I remember. I think with Gran Turismo 3, they said something like they took a couple of weeks to make one car, and they had hundreds of cars back then. So
don't get me wrong, the game's great. It's Gran Turismo. It's never going to be a perfect racing sim, and it doesn't want to be. It's an arcade racing.
So
unless it's Gran Turismo Sport, that's just shit.
They also announced a new PlayStation VR, which everyone was, knew was coming, but it's good to hear the official word. Although, again, it doesn't have any release date yet. So we don't know exactly when it's coming, only that it will be higher resolution. It will have some of the haptics that are already in the DualSense controller. And also it will have a single cord, so it won't be wireless, but it will have less cords than the actual PlayStation VR we have now. So
the reality is that State of Play was really quite muted. The only big announcement is the new PSVR, but we don't know when it's coming. We've got Gran Turismo delayed. Yes, Final Fantasy VII Remake's got a DLC. Is that what Integrate is? DLC?
Well, it is a new episode with Yuffie as the protagonist, but it's also
DLC. It's not really a full game, is it?
Yeah, no, it's just a PS5 release with improved graphics, lighting, that kind of stuff, shorter loading times. They are also adding photo mode. But something that's interesting is I was kind of hoping to hear about the announcement for PC as well, but maybe they are waiting April because that's when the console exclusivity will expire. So maybe in April they will announce a PC release as well, hopefully.
The biggest news for me didn't even come from State of Play, which would have made it useful for me, but just in a random blog post, they finally announced when Ratchet and Clank was coming. Like, you should have saved that for State of Play. That would have been the big hitter. I love Ratchet and Clank. I've loved it from day one.
Hey, speaking of, aren't they giving that away soon or now? By the time the podcast?
Oh, the old one.
Yeah, that's
the old one.
The sort of remake Ratchet and Clank. Yeah, they're giving that way. It's been part of PS Plus before, but this is the different, just like sort of here's a game, play it, please.
Yeah, like play at home thing.
Yeah,
something
which
like
makes sense because we've got Rift Apart coming in June, and that's my game, Alessio. Mine. You know I love it.
Okay.
You know I'm a Ratchet and Clanker. No, it's Ratchet and Clank's coming in June. I'm surprised they just let that drop in a blog post rather than just saying, State of Play. Oh, by the way, Ratchet and Clank are coming in June. Finally giving you the date. But yeah, I'm just surprised about that.
Yeah, I mean,
wasn't Horizon also delayed?
Well, that is still a rumor actually, because Jim Ryan said that they feel good about Returnal and Ratchet and Horizon as games for this year.
Okay.
But the one who leaked, the journalist, I think from Russia, who leaked the Horizon for PC, said he heard that there might be a delay. It's still a rumor, so we're not sure.
Again, with everything, we're not really unlocking, and depends where they're making it and the situation in the countries. What with working from home and everything, who knows?
I think maybe they might be targeting like November, but there's also always a chance to slip into February, which is also when they released the first Horizon. So it makes sense.
Have any questions, Keith? Though
I'm listening. I'm enjoying.
I think that's about everything when it comes to the PlayStation, though. It's really not a massive amount.
There were release dates for a couple of interesting games, in indie games, but they're pretty cool.
Yeah, Kena looks good.
Yeah, Kena and Oddworld. Oddworld is coming April 6th, and Kena is coming this August, and they both look quite good, especially Kena. I mean, it's pretty cool from a graphical standpoint, and interesting as well. So
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, something that has been discussed as well, not in the state of play, is basically Sony's decision to kind of shut down Japan Studio or rather restructure it around Asobi Studio. But basically they are somehow downsizing their Japan Studio, which is weird because they made some great games. So I mean, they weren't super successful commercially, but they were.
I think that's the problem. They need to. It's just making games that are commercially good. And the problem is when you look at what they have made, they haven't really made a massive amount. They've co-developed things like Demon's Souls with Blue Point, Shadow of the Colossus remake with Blue Point again. I think the last game they actually made outright was Knack 2.
Yeah.
Maybe. In fact, I don't actually know what games that Sony Japan have made outright. They made the Knack games, and that's. But every other game they sort of developed was in conjunction with another. They acted as a support studio.
Yeah, basically. So, but still,
the only ones that I really remember from them, you've got the and because if I read it right, that the Japan studio is just going to be part of Asobi, is it, or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were mainly a support developer. So yeah.
So the cost effectiveness, the last games they made were Knack and Knack 2.
They did Gravity Rush. That was pretty good. I mean, it was.
Yeah, wasn't that a different, separate team though? Like Asobi's a separate team.
Yeah, it was. It was a separate team. It wasn't Asobi. It was, I think, the team behind Siren. Team Gravity. So
I like the Siren game. But yeah, will be interesting to see. Like we know Asobi's going to keep going ahead. I assume they're going to keep that the Team Gravity or whatever they're called, Project Siren teams. I assume
Asobi is certainly not going anywhere because between Astrobot and Astro's Playroom, they've been very well received. So.
Yeah, be interesting. Yeah, that's about it for Sony. But then you've got another big team, which is it's not closed the studio yet. It's not closing anything yet, but we've got EA now, who's telling us that studios have got autonomy. They say they've got autonomy, but this is categorically untrue when we hear about everything that's gone on inside. Thank you, Jason Schreier. Well, look at studios like BioWare. I know. Let's all use that one engine, Frostbite, for every game ever, even though it's not designed for anything other than shooters. That's why you end up with shit games, and also why you end up with studios closing and divisions closing. And also, where was the autonomy when you forced? What was it now? We made Dead Space. Visceral, yeah. When they forced Visceral to add in whatever random shite to Dead Space, yes, that was years ago, but I don't believe for a second when EA say we've got autonomy in studios. And the other thing is that, Anthem has been cancelled. It's not actually been released yet.
That's sad.
people have like paid their money for a game which has never been finished.
Yeah, that's the problem with that being canceled. Like, I know that we've joked about it, the fact, that I'm that weird person who has enjoyed the game when it came out, but I didn't get swept up in the hype. Hey, look, I know that I can enjoy the game, but also admit that they thoroughly missed the mark. And it was extremely misleading to the fans and the people who bought into the hype, and they owe those people dearly. And I personally,
they owe them a game.
I was about to say, at this point, they owe them a refund. They need to just give them all their money back, even if it's Origin credit or whatever or something. They owe the people who bought this game because they released the game. They admitted that it was a broken pile of parts. It was a great tech demo. I mean, I enjoyed flying. I enjoyed the mechanics. I don't remember what the game was even about, other than you were in a exoskeleton suit and you were flying around completing objectives.
I think the worst thing about Anthem is that it was supposed to be a highly replayable game.
Yes.
But it really wasn't. I mean, it had no structure to the end game, no content.
Yeah. So I finished the story, and then I waited for the update that never came.
So that's the worst thing. I think it also stings even more because BioWare was supposed to know better than this, because they've been running an MMO game with Star Wars: The Old Republic for a decade almost.
Yeah,
BioWare magic.
And but basically, the game was developed, I think, in Montreal, if I'm not mistaken, while the MMO division is in Austin, and basically Austin only took over after the game's release. But at that point, it was basically too late. And there was this attempt at Anthem Next, which was a large-scale overhaul. But I figure it was just going to take too much resources, and EA just deemed it was not worth the effort. And I agree with Kit. That's sad, and it is misleading to customers, in that they were promised a game that would last, years worth of content. But that's not really what's in there. So
it's bullshit, because Anthem's been out. It was released like 2 weeks early in reality than like the official release date is like the 22nd of February, 2019, when it was released. Actually, a week or 2 weeks before that, if you bought the super duper special early access Reflux edition or God knows whatever else. And the problem is, it's 2 weeks, 2 years. Sorry, 2 years it's been out, and there's no excuse when you've got studios that do not have the financial support that EA have got. EA's got billions, or it's worth billions. They've got hundreds of millions of cash. They can afford to develop a game. And as much as anybody wants to criticize games like No Man's Sky for how that released, they've made it into a fantastic game, and they put that time, effort, and money into it, and it pays off.
Yeah, and they've made the gold standard for the turnaround. I mean, honestly, if No Man's Sky can go from what it did to what it is now on the budget that they had in the studio that they had, no one else has an excuse for not fixing a game.
But even if you look at it, like, you could easily make the excuse, and people will make the excuse, they've got to answer to shareholders. But again, it's so easy to give two examples of that. And they're both from the same company. And I will criticize Ubisoft all day long, but Rainbow Six Siege and For Honor, both games have made billions, and that's because Ubisoft stuck with the game. So EA saying that they don't have the resources, or they don't want to put the resources in, or it's bullshit. It is absolute bullshit. It's a lie. And that's it's as simple as that. Anybody who tells you that it's resources, or they need to balance this, or they can't afford this. It's absolute bullshit, and the people have been scammed. And the problem is, the more games that do this, and I think we're going to see this happen with Avengers from Square Enix, the more big profile games that do this, the less chance people are going to buy into the absolute nonsense that these games are worth spending any money on. Why buy a game that is unfinished if the studio can't be trusted to finish it?
It seems like even consumers at this point, the only people that they're even considering games as a service is early access indie developers.
Because they actually care about the game.
Well, yeah, but we keep seeing these AAA studios and these developers and publishers do the games as a service, and honestly, not many of them are worth their weight in salt. I mean, Sea of Thieves has done fairly well as a games of service, but it didn't build itself up to be this second coming like some of these other games have. I mean, Marvel's Avengers built itself up for months and months and months as this amazing nonstop thing, and then when it came out, it was cookie cutter. It felt like everything that you've played like it before, and every character felt like just, I don't know. And then you got Anthem, and they never deliver on it. People aren't buying it anymore. They're not buying it. They've been burned too many times by these long form, years long games, and they're more willing to throw $20 at an indie dev that makes a game like Valheim that's in very early access, but people are loving it, and the small team of developers are able to fund their future development of that particular title. AAA studios don't do that. They get their money and they go home, and they leave three or four
Valheim's
people.
made enough now to fund Valheim, Anthem, Avengers, and about 5 other games.
Yeah, but they've done it by doing something
5 billion
well.
copies.
Well, they've done it by offering up a good starting point. Even Baldur's Gate, sure, it's early access, but there's a solid game there right now.
Yeah, of course.
But you've got to be able to deliver on it, and people have pretty much lost faith in these big studios and from the big publishers, because they feel like, and rightfully so, that it's just an easy cash grab.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
It annoys me. It just annoys me because any studio, especially a studio, I can understand it if an early access game doesn't sell well and they just don't have the funds to finish it. I can understand that. The EA again, they make billions, and that's just from selling gambling boxes in FIFA.
right?
So there's no excuse. There's never an excuse. And they know the bad press that's coming with it, and that's why they put out utter bullshit about studios have got creative freedom, which we've got enough evidence to prove that that's bullshit. I suppose the only one good bit of news is that Dragon Age 4, which was set to be Anthem with dragons, is now just going single player only.
Yeah. Basically, it seems like they have taken a cue from Anthem's failure and also the success of Jedi Fallen Order, which was single player only. And maybe they are realizing that not every game needs to be live service to do well.
I suppose the thing is, maybe, and I'm saying that they're lying about internal studios have got creative autonomy, but maybe, just maybe, after EA sabotaged Respawn and, dropped Titanfall 2 in the busiest and most competitive period ever, and they did sabotage that game. There's no way they would release it in between Battlefield and Call of Duty while not promoting it at all and expecting it to succeed. So they sabotaged the game. They bought the studio, and now Respawn's just made it so, like, just a second, we developed Apex and it did incredibly well, and that was without any input from EA. And it does seem like Respawn got a bit of freedom when it came to Star Wars. So maybe, just maybe, somebody higher up at EA has finally stopped dipping their head in the big pile of cocaine and realized, oh shit, we can actually make some money to let the professionals do the job.
Yeah, we can only hope.
It bewilders me. Pencil pushers with absolutely no clue over what makes a video game good. And yes, anybody can mess up on a game. Peter Molyneux made some great games and then he fucked up multiple times. So we know that people who do make good games can fuck up. But pencil pushers who are only in it just to look at the books and just like, will this feature make us an extra 5 million billion? Android Wilson, as some people, as Jim Sterling calls him, Andrew Wilson does not know anything about games. He's proven that time and time again. So let the people who make the games make the games. Will work out in the long run. I'm hoping that Dragon Age does well, and I'm hoping it's a good game, because if not, I think we might end up seeing BioWare getting a bit screwed over.
Yeah,
Might not see them again.
That will be sad.
To be fair, they probably deserve it with how the internal management of BioWare has been. But it's just bad. There's so many people who can make great games who just don't seem to get the chance to make them. I think that's my rant. If anybody wants to talk about EA,
I don't know, but we can maybe move on to the even bigger fuck up at Google.
is this podcast just Chris rants? I think this podcast is just me ranting about companies. In fact, I didn't rant about Sony. I'm just disappointed that they didn't wait to announce Ratchet and Clank, so I could have been like, State of Play was worth it. So yeah, the even bigger fuck up. I'll introduce this again because I love ranting on companies. Google, absolute fucking idiot. And especially when we've heard the recent news that what's his name again? Phil Harrison.
Yeah.
Who was he? Yeah, Phil Harrison. So Phil Harrison in charge of Google's game. Well, I want to say game development side of things, but they didn't develop anything, and like they spent a shitload of money hiring. They spent a shitload of money hiring people. Yeah, got people like Jaden, and creating studios or one studio like for first party development. Didn't get anything out. In fact, the studio was closed within a year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
About a year. So yeah, about a year. That's not even enough time to develop a small game, especially in modern culture.
Yeah,
and then we also find out they've spent tens of millions each game on games like Red Dead 2. And I'm just thinking, my words in the private chat, what we have on the site for the writers of the site, was a simple one. So wait a second. They spent tens of millions to get in a game like Red Dead so they could fail to sell a game that has already sold everything because everybody who wants it's already got it.
Yes.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted it to be exclusive, then sure. But basically, they just funded back the development of the game without even having the exclusivity. I mean, it's so dumb.
It's baffling. It's absolute baffling. Rockstar were hardly going to say we need 10 million to make it work on Stadia because you don't need to do that much work to it. Single player games will. Yes, I suppose you could say for Red Dead Online they needed to do something, but not for the Red Dead regular story thing.
Lord.
Who makes these decisions?
I can imagine the higher ups at Rockstar and other companies that were offered this kind of money only to make mere ports. They were like, sure, I'll get my games on Stadia.
Right?
As I said, the part that baffles me is that it doesn't really, from what I'm aware, for a single player game, it doesn't take that much porting.
Yeah, definitely not.
It's not tens of millions to port it. You're looking probably about tens of quids. Like you could probably port it by just giving one guy a sodding week supply of pork pies and a firm pat on the arse.
I mean, Stadia is basically a PC anyway, so
Who actually makes these decisions? Games industry. Let me give you some advice. If everybody's bought the game already, don't spend tens of millions to get it ported to your not really a new system, it's just streaming. Yes, it requires some extra tech, but it's not tens of millions. You've just paid Rockstar a shitload of heroin money.
You've played
Didn't need to.
yourself.
Why? What's wrong? What's wrong with you, Harrison? How are you still in a job? You go. You go now.
Get your cardboard
Yeah, I
box and
mean-
go to the curb.
it sounds like they totally bungled their strategy with Stadia, because they should have funded, I think, Stadia exclusive games, even from smaller developers, that could showcase actually what the platform was capable of. Because there is potential in cloud compute. I mean, even Microsoft keeps telling this, and many other developers, that
The problem,
it will be possible to make cloud exclusive games in the future that have even new features, like hundreds of thousands of players even interacting at once. So
the problem is they did actually fund a Stadia exclusive game, or they paid for one. Guilt, and it's good, decent indie game. So
yeah, they did fund a few games, but I guess they just couldn't wait a few years to. I don't know. It feels like they rushed it to the market just to be first,
yeah,
and but they just didn't have the content ready for it. So they
it's going to
paid
be
the
interesting to see what Amazon do, how they learn from this massive fuck up.
Yeah, Amazon is certainly going much slower with Luna. So
It does
they
also
are
help that Amazon's actually developed, well, one game. They've released one game, and then New World will eventually come, possibly before I die.
yeah, now it's coming in August, hopefully.
They've said that before. I don't know. I thought the past week and the news that's come out's just baffled me. I mean, EA have backtracked on certain things, which is a good sign, but I don't think EA's been good since John Riccitello's early days, because he was somebody who actually got new games funded and new decent adventurous games. Mirror's Edge, it wasn't perfect, but I liked it.
It was
And
very
and
different at the time.
yeah, and Dead Space, it's like games like that. They did well for what they were, but then yeah, we, until they get somebody like John Riccitello who's willing to actually let developers be developers, then EA are going to be stuck in the rut where they just gamble. Oh no, they just rely on gambling, and I'm just going to call them Ladbrokes.
Yeah,
And yeah, go on.
I think the best way, if you have money, is just to buy developers who are already established, and
Yeah.
let them do their own thing, like Microsoft seems to be doing now.
You don't have to spend $7 billion on Bethesda, or ZeniMax, but there are again THQ Nordic, or well, Embracer as they're called now. They're buying everybody. Just do what they're doing. Buy all the small ones.
Right?
And I tell you something, I bet somebody wished they'd have bought the developers of Valheim before last week.
Yeah.
But Jesus, where that game sold massive.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
I'm playing it now. I'm going to get an early access preview out soon, and it's good. It is good. It's I don't know. It's a survival game. I've played too many, I think, but it's still good.
Tell me
So,
something. Is it a game I can jump into and play for about 15, 20 minutes at a time and enjoy myself, or am I going to have to sit down for about an hour at a time?
You're probably going to have to sit down for about an hour.
So for me, I probably don't need this game, or else I'm going to get no work done. Look, Chris, I already work almost 60 hours a week in my day job. I don't I don't have much time as it is.
Yeah, there is that.
So I have to be very careful on the games that I play.
Yeah, I think you'd be fine for about an hour. Like I can't really do enough in 20 minutes. And it's now just made me think when we're talking about acquisitions. Valheim was published, not developed, just published by Coffee Stain, who is owned by Embracer, THQ Nordic.
Yes.
So they're even involved in Valheim. Not to the biggest amount that they'd want, obviously, but they've done well out of it, I bet.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff.
I can't think of anything else I want to say.
What did you play? Did you play something this week?
Yeah, I've played a fair bit of The Division 2. Again, picking up games that I can play for a little bit of a time. That's kind of one I like. I like games like that where I can get in and I can like run a mission and then I can bounce. Because I don't get a lot of time to play, so and I never really got to play a whole lot of The Division 2, so with its expansion that came out recently, it went on sale on the what is it? Is it Ubisoft Connect now, or is it Uplay Connect?
Yes,
Ubisoft Connect. I've actually and if Dave were still here with us, would be very giddy to know that I've actually played most of the game I played this week is Breath of the Wild on Cemu with like all of the shaders going and the game really dressed up.
Yeah.
So I've been running across Hyrule doing, looking for something to do.
I still think it's lame that you break your weapon like every
you don't if you enable the no weapon break mod, and the game suddenly becomes way more fun. I don't care.
Yeah, the game would become way more fun because it's not fracturing your weapon like it's made out of chuffing cardboard.
I'm sorry, but you got a steel sword. You can hit more than 3 people with it before it breaks.
Yeah.
Like that's all I did for the mods was I just turned on, weapon durability, whatever that mod is. But like everything else is like the game normally is. So there's a lot of cheats in there that you can do, but that takes away a lot of the fun. Like let me run out of arrows, let me get exhausted, all of those things. But come on.
Yeah.
The weapon durability really kind of ruined the fun for me. But everybody plays differently. It's PC, so.
Yeah, I think that's just that. As I say, it's a good game, Breath of the Wild. Like the weapon degradation, and the other advantage is you don't have to rely on silly motion controls, do you?
Yeah. Kit, did you hear about the latest Switch Pro rumors?
Yes.
DLSS?
Yes. Bring it on. Especially with the way DLSS has already worked its way, DLSS 2.0 has worked its way into the Unreal Engine. It's only a matter of time. If it gets its way into Unity, it's over. So
yeah,
that's pretty exciting.
DLSS everywhere.
So I welcome it.
Oh. What have you been playing, Alessio?
Like I said, some Outriders, the demo.
I got that loaded up. I'm gonna play it this weekend, if God willing.
Yeah, but you don't have to rush because it's not one of those weekend demos. Actually, it's going to be up even after launch, and it also carries progress to the full game. So
really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's not like the demo is like the first part of the game, I guess. Then.
Yeah, it's basically kind of trial, I guess, if you want to see it that way.
Oh, that's how
And,
you do it.
Yeah, it does a lot of things right, because, for example, the developers have stressed out that this is not a live service game. This is like a finished game. Of course, they can put out DLC in the future, but basically they wanted the full game to be right there at the start, so to speak. So
That's cool.
that's
I like
kind
that.
of an old school approach. Yeah, I kind of like it. It's pretty fun. It's like basically Gears of War with powers and with some RPG elements, loot.
Yeah,
But
the way they're doing the demo reminds me of the old shareware days. You could get started and then unlock the game and keep playing.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, the only thing that I'm not sure of, as I was telling Chris, is that it's a bit too linear. I mean, maps are really quite cramped. It's not really, not only not an open world, it's even not wide linear. It's like linear.
Oh goodness!
Final
So
Fantasy 13. Yeah.
is it? So it's Final, as I say, Final Fantasy 13 or the medium kind of linear.
Yeah, almost. I mean, it's very much like a Gears of War game, but not even the latest, because the latest I think opened up a bit,
Yeah.
like until Gears of War 4.
Yeah, sometimes I
That
like
seems.
that. Sometimes I'm good with that because
Yeah,
it gets me through the game. If the story's engaging, I don't mind.
yeah, the story actually doesn't seem too bad.
Okay.
It seems quite interesting. It's just for this kind of games where you have to replay it for loot, especially to get more
Oh,
powerful items. It's always better, I think, if you have like a proper world to explore. It's just more fun that way, more immersive, I think. Well,
Yeah.
at least that's my take as an MMO fan. So
fair enough.
Not good. Yeah. I might try it. I haven't downloaded the demo yet, but we'll see. I've got Valheim to keep playing. Well, I'm writing an early access preview of that. It's already a well developed game, but I can see really good things coming. And then I need to play Subnautica Below Zero or whatever which again Subnautica. Another survival game, but again a great one.
It is. It's a good one.
But this is how you do early access or games that you develop and keep developing them.
Yeah, you actually keep the developing part.
Yeah.
yeah, right.
Yeah, I think that's about everything.
Mm-hmm. So I think we'll see you.
Unless anybody's got anything else to add?
Nope, I'm good,
Yeah.
guys. I'm hungry. What you got, Alessio?
Oh, just see you next week, and hopefully there will be some exciting news as well, because supposedly there are other events coming soon, possibly even a Microsoft event with news of Xbox games.
That's when they announced that Bethesda's just making Xbox exclusives.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, there is this tidbit of news that came last week, about a class action against Bethesda. Not sure if you've read. Basically, if you remember the Fallout 4 season pass, they had said that it would include all future content,
Okay.
but it doesn't actually include the Creation Club for Fallout 4. So someone a couple of years ago, after having bought the season pass and basically believing to have been deceived by Bethesda, they filed a lawsuit through a law firm, and it recently became to light because with the deal with Microsoft, they are basically also filing injunction with the judge to possibly stop the acquisition,
Okay.
because they believe it could be $1 billion worth lawsuit.
Oh wow.
Although it seems to be a bit difficult
So,
to me.
I mean, we don't want to talk too long. We can cover this next week if there's not a massive amount. It's so good. It's a big detailed topic. But long and short of it is that if Bethesda have developed content and put it inside the Creation Club, then the Bethesda content should be given as part of the season pass. But any content created by other people should be not be part of it because that's other people's creations, and it's
Yeah.
it's paid DLC. But that's something to go into next time. The big topic.
Yeah. It just like some other attorney said from like a third party law firm. They said, Bethesda could just open up the season pass to everyone, to include the Creation Club, and basically it could be enough, possibly.
Again, it's something. It's a big detail thing because you've got to then include the fact that other people are creating content, which then they've got to get paid for it, and how you base that monetization and everything. It's a massive big.
True.
Yeah. Yeah, it's worthwhile looking at that. That could be next week's then, I think. Unless something crops up.
Cool deal,
But yeah,
guys.
I think is that everything, everybody? Or are we
I'm
saying
good.
bye?
Au revoir.
Bye.
Au revoir.